Self-Regulation versus Self-Control by Gary Berge. This is a very important distinction to make because we are seeing an increase in the number of students unable to cope with the challenges that they face at school and adults struggling to cope with the demands of the job and family matters. There is a tendency to view this worrying trend through the lens of self-control, as if what we are seeing is some sort of deficiency or lack of grit, with all the moral implications that this carries in our culture. This attitude may suggest that the problem is due to helicopter parenting or a lack of character building experiences growing up. For example, children need to be toughened up if they're going to be able to tough it out. This belief has been prevalent since Plato in Hippocrates. Self-regulation looks at stress from 5 domains and ways to reduce these stresses. Self-control only deals with the immediate stress, and rather than look deeper into the cause of stress, it promotes willpower to push beyond the limitations of stress and overcome it. Trying to force a child when they're struggling with their learning by punishment and reward can actually backfire. It can actually cause anxiety, which can have a pronounced effect on worsening whatever the learning deficit was. Historically, the lack of motivation in children was thought to be due to an attention problem, but now we realize that the attention problem is due to a defensive behavior resulting from stress, which can cause the child to withdraw from any task. This leads to even more stress and can send the child into a state of low energy, high tension. In self-regulation, you try and reduce the stress, and if successful, the child is often eager to participate. The story of self-control is an ancient story starting about 2,500 years ago, during the time of Plato, where he told the story of Leontius, who was an ambassador returning to Athens. And as he passed by the gallows on the outskirts of town, he tells of his incredible urge to look at the corpses dangling. And he reasoned that it would be at the height of mental weakness to give in to these urges. Leontius was a very educated man, but despite his attempts to resist the urge to look, he gave in to his base desires. Plato says, in response to this story, that reason alone is not enough to vanquish our base appetites. In order for us to win these internal battles, we rely on a third faculty called thumos, or spirit. This story and many like it have been retold throughout history, and the concept of self-control is still prevalent today. Throughout history, the concept of willpower was prominent even in the story of the Garden of Eden. It became apparent that we needed willpower to overcome our base appetites, and that Adam giving in to his base appetite by eating the apple became the basis of sin. In order to lead a moral life as God dictates, we had to educate to teach reason, and we had to learn to exercise our willpower, which was inextricably linked to the 7 deadly sins. So any lack of willpower was a sinful act. By the 20th century, science developed 2 theories looking at behavior. The theory of behavior being based on physiological response, which self-regulation models itself after, and the behaviorism theory, modeled after the Greek philosophers' beliefs of willpower being managed by punishment and reward. Self-regulation is a method of identifying stressors and eliminating or reducing them to ensure there is enough energy to perform daily tasks. This attends to the causes of the problem rather than managing the problem. In self-control, you have to make a conscious effort or willpower to suppress dominant feelings in order to perform a task. In this state, we tend to inhibit or manage problems as they arise. When we're doing self-regulation, reframing is often our first step to remove those cognitive blinders. We do that by recognizing the difference between self-regulation and self-control. We want to become aware of those signals that the child gives us that tells us we're dealing with stress load, rather than trying to encourage the child to have more focus or show more willpower to complete the task using various methods of punishment and rewards. If a child is having difficulty focusing on a task, rather than judging this as a weakness, self-regulation looks at the stresses that is causing the inability of the child to focus and tries to reduce them. Self-regulation looks at the stress from all 5 domains, including the social and prosocial domain. As stress is managed through self-regulation, then one's ability to stabilize after stress is what resiliency is about: the ability to recover from stress and get back to our optimal state of equilibrium. Self-control only focuses on the individual and their ability to keep their focus through stress. It does not look at any other factor that may be contributing to one's stress, including the social factors. Self-regulation makes self-control possible, not the other way around.